Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. We continue our predictions for Euro 2020. We have done the first round of games for Group A, B, and C, but now we move on to match day 2, and we start in Group A, and we start with Turkey versus Wales.
Yeah, Turkey. We had a lot of people write to us telling us how well Turkey were going to do in this match, in their match against Italy, and it did not turn out that way. They ended up going down 3-0 and being well beaten. Whereas Wales, it took some luck and a VAR decision to even keep them in the game, and they were lucky, I think, to come away from the Wales versus Switzerland match with a 1-1 draw, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to see a reaction from Turkey because they were poor. I don't know how much it was them being not turning up and how much it was Italy just being sensational and not allowing them to play. But they seemed like they had no game plan for Italy or no plan of how to cope with them or how to create chances against them. And it seemed like it was only a matter of time before they were going to concede. And once they did, they had no way back into the game. But whereas Wales, they didn't look fantastic against Switzerland, but they showed the fight, Tom. We talked about the spirit that they've got, and that's the one thing you can say is they give everything they've got the same as when they were in the tournament in 2016. They're a tough side to beat. They find a way, and Kiefer Moore had a great header in the first half and scored a great goal in the second half, really. And they hung on to a draw, and they will fancy their chances of winning. I will just say this game is in Baku again, which favours Turkey because they're probably going to have more Turkish fans in there than Welsh fans because it's like right on the border. So,
plus, I don't think Welsh people are even allowed into Azerbaijan right now.
Yeah, there'll probably be a few that are like are scattered around, expats and stuff that find a way. Yeah. Everyone seems to find a way over there somehow.
They do.
But you're right. Do you feel though, Thomas, that Turkey can get a much-needed win, or do you think Wales are going to carry on the good form here?
I was not impressed watching Turkey. I didn't think they played that well against Italy. I thought the first half they were pretty sluggish. In the second half, like the own goal was weak, and then Italy, just the chances they were giving up. I mean, they couldn't clear the ball for love nor money. I think both goals were essentially tap-ins from like 10 yards out. So I'm going to go for a Wales victory. I'm going to go Wales 2, Turkey 1.
Do you know, that's the thing, isn't it? It's so hard to back Turkey after that performance. And Wales did just show the fight and spirit, but I find it so difficult to back Wales to win games as well. So I think I'm going to go for another draw here. I think I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw for Wales.
Absolute fool. No idea what you're doing. But Ian, let's move into the second match of Group A's round 2, and that is Italy versus Switzerland.
There was a lot said about Italy coming into this tournament as, casting off the disgusting failure of not making it to the last World Cup and having the reaction how Mancini's got this side playing well. Now, they haven't conceded a goal since the, dawn of time. And but did they deliver. They were great. I thought they were fantastic. Yeah. They lived up to all the hype. They played in a really un-Italian-like manner, which is a good thing. They really just took the game to Turkey, didn't let Turkey settle, didn't let Turkey get into the game at all. It was amazing. It was 0-0 at half-time, but as soon as they got the first goal, they didn't sit back. They just went for it. I thought Jorginho was excellent. I thought the front three were excellent as well in Berardi, Insigne, immense, Immobile, immense. This side looks a real force for this tournament.
Yeah, I think you can see why they were such favourites and why the commentators wouldn't stop banging on about them, which was a detriment to my ears. But still, they're a really talented side. They've got lots of really good players. They've got Champions League winners in there. And, like we talked about, Bonucci and Chiellini at the back have been doing this for 20 years, 25 years? Like, how old are they now?
And you saw the kind of the dedication that they had right at the end of the game, especially like Chiellini
tackle where he's pumping his fists at getting a tackle in.
Just to not give the opposition anything at all.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive performance from Italy. And with the Italian fans behind them again, you can't see anything other than a win over Switzerland, who will be kicking themselves after that game against Wales.
I mean, I They should have won that. They should have won that by a couple goals.
But bear in mind, folks, he's not a Switzerland fan at the best of times.
I'm not, but they should have won that game, and they're going to be kicking themselves for not winning it. Obviously, they're still second in the group, but now they come up against Italy. Italy could buzzsaw through them. Wales even pick up 1 point, or Turkey picks up 3, and all of a sudden, Switzerland are hoping they can go through in the third place slot. So I think it's going to be a tough game. Italy are really impressive. Italy, even an Italy side that aren't at their best, don't concede goals. So I think, Ian, you get to pick scores first.
Yeah, I'm not going to go high scoring in this one, I don't think. Yes, Italy could buzzsaw their way through, but time and time again, people do underestimate the Swiss, and they're tough. They're a tough side. You don't beat them very often. They had a striker against Wales, and Mbolo did get a goal in the end, but he missed a hatful of chances, as did Seferovic up front as well. Shaqiri looks way off the boil for me. He looks like his best days are well behind him. And, they did rely on Jan Sommer to produce a good save as well. But I think Switzerland will give to Italy a lot more of a game than Turkey did. But I do see the Italians still winning it. I think I'm going to go for 1-0 Italy.
Oh, you're the worst. I'm going 1-0 as well.
Yeah, which carries on the immense clean sheet run that Italy has had.
Yeah.
And they may go through this whole tournament without conceding a goal. Who knows?
100%. They stand as good a chance as any of winning the tournament to 0.
So do England. Anyway, right. I just got that little one in there. And we move on to Group B, which had no shortage of drama. That is for sure. And we start with probably a game that won't have a lot of drama. Russia versus Finland.
Yeah, so obviously in the next match we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about, but Finland, first ever international tournament, they've won their first game 1-0, huge, currently sits second in the group. Russia were absolute garbage against Belgium. There's no shame in being beaten by Belgium, but Russia offered very little for what I saw in that game.
There is shame. There's shame in it if you gift them the goals. They gifted Belgium 2 goals, and they could have gifted Belgium 3 goals at the start of the game, and then you're 2-0 down, and then it's easy to play when you're 2-0 down because you've got nothing to lose. But they started the game so poorly, and they've got, much like what we talked about Turkey in the first game, they've got to show a massive improvement in this second game, or they are going to be out of this tournament before it even begins.
Yeah, and that's for sure. And this is now what you feel like the teams that will end in third and fourth. Well, no, we'll talk about this in a minute. Anyway, these are possibly the 2 weakest on paper teams. Finland, again, fantastic for them. They got that win. It's going to be probably their only one of the tournament. I'm just going to jump straight in here and say I think Russia will win this game 1-0.
Yeah, ultimate smash and grab, really, wasn't it, for Finland? And I know there was like mitigating circumstances for it, but credit to them as well. It wasn't easy for their players to come out and play again after what happened. And Hideki had a screamer in goal, saved the penalty. They looked extremely well organised, what we thought, and they took advantage from one of the very few opportunities that they had for a win in their first ever major tournament. And now they'll be looking at getting 1 more point, and that'll pretty much get them through, even in a third place, really. So it's a great start to the tournament for them. Russia, you would like to think that home fans will cheer them to victory here. And although I don't really want to back them, I am going to back Russia to win by 2-0.
Yes, excellent. And Ian, we move on to the match that's going to have no end of talking points because it's world number 1 ranked Belgium hosting Denmark.
Yeah, right. Well, obviously there's going to be a lot to talk about when we get to Denmark, but let's talk about Belgium first of all. They won 3-0 against Russia. They didn't even really need to get out of 1.5 gear, second gear.
First gear.
That they Lukaku did exactly what my colleague and friend Thomas Pickering said he would do, and that's pretty much just bundle his way through the Russian side with them all on his back and not being able to stop him. He was immense. His tribute to Ericsson was immense as well. But Russia gifted them 2 goals, and if you gift a side like Belgium 2 goals, they don't need to put any more effort into the game. They got a 3rd goal late through Lukaku, who looks deadly, and I'm so glad I've got a £10 bet on him to be the leading goal scorer in the tournament. But there's a lot more to come from this Belgium side, and Martinez will be happy that they've got a win without even really breaking a sweat.
Yeah, Belgium they played a side that had no interest in being there, and they beat a side that had no interest in being there, and they did well.
This were very good. But I mean, the tests will come, won't they? When they play someone better, then we'll talk about the players that are missing, and we'll talk about the defence a lot more. Yeah.
Unfortunately, now we have to talk about Denmark. Anybody that hasn't been living under a rock for the last 2 days knows Christian Ericsson had a cardiac arrest on the pitch. They had to resuscitate him. It was absolute anarchy, and as it would be if a bloke has a heart attack in the middle of the pitch.
I found it at the same time impossible to look away, but shocking. Like, generally went cold in a sweat. Like, I was shocked by it, and I didn't know what to do. I was convinced that the worst had happened.
I think everyone was.
Happened. Thank God that it didn't, and thank God the medical staff were able to keep him alive, and it was just something that you would never expect to see on a football pitch, and it's kind of going to ruin Denmark's tournament, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely overshadows it. I mean, and not only that, it could have been anyone. It could have been a right winger, but it's their best player. It's a guy who clearly has quite close ties with many of the players. Like, I think they were talking about Scare and Kasper Schmeichel are very good friends with him. Like, it looks like a lot of that team were.
Yeah, they look a close-knit bunch. The Danish side, for sure. They all looked really like cut up about it, and you know, you don't know how Finland are going to react to it either. I mean, it's not an easy thing for their players to see either, but it is obviously more impactful for the Danes, you would say. And they got a really, really tough game now against Belgium. They've got home advantage, which could play into their favour. But let's say one thing. Let's a couple of things as well. Højbjerg's penalty. Wow, what a bad penalty. Oh my God. I mean, that's another thing. Ericsson probably would have taken the penalty, wouldn't he? But just fucking hit it. If you're worried about it, literally, don't just jog up and pass it back to the goalie. Put your laces through it and get it. But Denmark dominated that game, but they just couldn't stick the ball away. They don't look like they got a striker or a cutting edge, and that's going to be the biggest problem for them. But before we move on, I do just want to talk about one thing, and it's something close to you, Thomas. I just want to bring it into perspective. But a couple of years ago, working in his job, Tom did save somebody's life who had a cardiac arrest on the basketball court, and Tom had to give CPR and defibrillator on him and did save his life. So he has some experience of it, obviously not to the degree of 30,000 people watching you. But how did that make you feel? Like, just trying to put it in perspective of what the players have seen and gone through, how did that make you feel like afterwards, in the immediate aftermath, like a week or so after?
It's not great. Like, you don't really feel great, especially when it's someone specifically you know. I think it's easier when it's someone you don't know and it's just kind of like a bloke out there. But like, for me, it was a friend of mine, and you're just in shock. All you really care about is how they're doing, and it also really rapidly puts things into perspective of like, what do I really care about here? Like, what is the point? And I think that's going to be the hardest thing for Denmark, and I don't think it's a mark against them, that it's going to be hard for them to raise themselves up to play Belgium. Like, maybe it'll be better when they play Russia. It's a couple weeks. It is like, what, 10 days, 9-10 days afterwards.
Yeah, it's not long.
The Belgium the turnaround in this Belgium game after the Finland game with everything that's surrounding it. I just think they're going to have a really tough time of it. I mean, buddy, Kasper Schmeichel's out there like hugging the wife when it's happening. Like, it's not.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, really again, it just puts you in the perspective of like what the Danish players probably and they're going to have one eye off this tournament. You would imagine. I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, but you wouldn't be shocked if like they just want to go and have a break now.
Yeah, maybe it raises their game, but I would have been in no fit state to play Finland after that, and I definitely don't think I think emotionally they will be drained. Even if they're, let's do this for Christian, let's prove we can do it. That was a emotionally draining experience for them. And they came together as a team, which is genuinely beautiful, everything they did out there. But it's going to be so hard for them.
Prediction time then, Thomas. Feels mean now, doesn't it? Feels mean.
Yeah. I'm going to go
8-0.
2-0 to Belgium.
Okay. Can I do double figures?
You can. Encouraged.
No, I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be keen. No, I think I don't want to go for the same score as you. I don't think it's going to be. I think it'll be a 2-1 win for Belgium. I think Denmark will put in a good display, but they won't be good enough. And Belgium, who did beat them as well recently in the Nations League, I think by 2-1 as well. So it'll be the same score. Yeah,
I think honestly, Belgium don't look as strong as they do with De Bruyne and stuff in them. But yeah, they should be quality to win that game.
And that takes us on to our final group in Group C, where we've seen 2 games on that today. One of them okay, but without a doubt we did see the game of the tournament as well. But we start with Ukraine versus North Macedonia.
Ian, I'm going to say a couple things here. I was impressed with both of these sides. I was really impressed by Ukraine, and I'm just going to start touching on it right away. Their game against the Netherlands has already been game of the tournament thus far. The Yarmalenko goal is thus far goal of the tournament. What just a fantastic side to watch Ukraine were. They were all technically gifted. They had an idea. There's a lot of quick passing in areas and then releasing and trying to change the ball. There's a lot of leadership that came out of Yarmolenko and Zinchenko. Half that match was just Zinchenko bellowing out instructions and giving orders. And if you were watching the game, especially, I think it was the second half, when Ukraine were moving left to right, or maybe it was the other one, right to left, but you kept seeing Zinchenko at the bottom with the center backs telling him what to do and him just pointing around the pitch and being like, no, you're going there, you're going here. And there's some real quality players out there. They're led by, obviously, Shevchenko, that achieved everything you could in club football. And I am sorry I undervalued them coming into this. They are a much better footballing side than I thought they were.
Only if they had a good goalkeeper, eh?
Yeah. So they need to put you in goal, Ian. Or me. Or maybe just a water bottle. A water bottle might have been better.
I mean, that final goal for Holland, fucking clear the ball. Don't just pass it to the side and let them get another cross in.
He gets both hands on the ball and still can't keep it out.
But I agree with what you said. I mean, it was a really encouraging Ukraine performance, especially to be 2-0 down. But for the first time in this tournament, I felt like it was a game that was actually played with a lot of intensity from the start. There's so much we don't want to lose the first game. It's very tactical and technical. This game just felt like two sides just went for it, and it credit to Ukraine. And again, I'm really looking forward to seeing them in this game. Look, North Macedonia, close to my heart with all my in-laws there as well. It was wonderful to see them at the tournament. A magical moment when they all sang the national anthem. It was a really kind of uplifting experience to hear it. It meant a lot to a lot of the players who had tears in their eyes. My wife tried to sing along to the national anthem. She's forgot the words. So it was a bit I'm going to do the thing of me doing God Save the Queen. God Save Queen, Lord Queen. It was that sort of thing. But she tried. And as did they. They tried really hard against Austria. They put in a good performance. They battled hard. They probably could have come away with a point. But the quality of Austria just told out in the end, and the pressure they put them under, Macedonia eventually just couldn't cope with it and eventually went down by 3-1, which probably flattered Austria a bit in the end. And realistically, I don't really, after I've seen Ukraine, I can't really see Macedonia getting too much out of this one. Great to see Pandev get a goal. Alioski was good as well. Up front for Macedonia, they had their moments as well, some very good skillful players, but just wasn't enough on the day, unfortunately. And but I do worry for them in this one. I think Ukraine might be way too strong for them.
Yeah, I think they will be. I'll let you go first on predictions, though, Ian.
Yeah, I would have liked to back Macedonia in this one, but just with the way Ukraine play with the same pace and intensity, that's something Austria didn't really have. They were a lot more patient in the build-up, and Macedonia were able to get back behind the ball, and maybe that will be something that will nullify Ukraine, and so they won't be able to play in the same way. But I think that they're going to be too powerful, and I think that it's going to end. I think it's going to actually be the same scoreline. It's going to be 3-1 to Ukraine.
I think I am going to go 2-0 to the Ukraine. But Ian, that leads us in to the final match of this round of predictions, and it's Netherlands versus Austria.
Both these sides unbeaten, Thomas. Both these sides with wins in their opening matches. Something's got to give, unless it's a draw.
Something does.
But Austria, their first ever win in a European Championships. We just talked about how they beat North Macedonia, and they had to be patient. They were made to work very hard for it, but in the end, the quality sold out, and it was absolutely outstanding quality for the first 2 goals. A fantastic ball in from Sabitzer and a superb finish by Liner. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And just when they needed a bit of class from their star man, they delivered, and that was Alba with the cross, which was a delightful ball in. And the substitute, who was Gregoritsch from Stuttgart, couldn't really miss, and he tucked it away. And they deserved it overall. They were the better side, but as I say, Macedonia did put in a spirited performance. And they will be, again, with a win in the opening game, it only really puts them, with only needing a point, and they're probably going to qualify. I think they will fancy their chances of getting something from this Dutch side, who looked very good at times, but they looked like they could concede goals.
Yeah, they were fantastic going forward. I mean, Weghorst, well, obviously we watched the Bundesliga quite closely last year, and we've had look-ins this year. The man is, as you texted me earlier, he's a goal machine. Looks really good up front.
Excellent record. He's got like 100 games, 50 goals for Wolfsburg.
And that is a tough league to do that in. And he looked fantastic for Netherlands. I didn't realize he was going to be their starting striker. Mm-hmm. And with him up front being flanked by players like Memphis Depay and Georginio Wijnaldum, they looked really good. They do look weak at the back. I think bringing Sketlenberg in is a nod to that as well. Such an established goalkeeper who's been here and done that. And by the way, does he not look like the most chiseled veteran footballer you've ever seen? I mean, they talk about, he's a silver fox, or his face has gone silver as well. Like everything about him is the same color, just chiseled. But defensively, they're a little bit at 6 and 7s on marking. It doesn't help when Weghorst let his man past him, having just scored that goal to make it 2-0. But
a couple of beauties, though, weren't they? They were some.
Well, I mean, the Yarmalenko goal is gold. Like, maybe they could have closed it down slightly better, but unless the bloke was stood on his toes, that ball was going in. It was bending 3 foot outside of the post before it all of a sudden just curled up and around the goalkeeper. It was a sensational shot, and I thought Netherlands, no matter what, were entertainers in this, and it feels like that's what Frank de Boer has decided his team's going to do. He said, you want attacking football? Cool, have your attacking football. It's a bit risky, but hey, it's what people want. And you know what? I don't think he's as bad as that Crystal Palace spell was. People seem to be completely unwilling to let him forget that, despite tons of football managers getting away with bad records at clubs. So I am going to go for Netherlands win. What are you doing?
I will be backing the Netherlands to win this as well. But good to see Dumfries and Galloway's getting the winner with a nice header after he looked like he'd ballsed up the 2 best chances of the game in the first half.
How many chances did he miss?
Hey, he got in there, he kept getting in there, and he got the winner eventually. So give him some credit for that one. But yeah, he did miss some chances. I'm going to go for a Holland win as well, Tom. I think that it will be another close game, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to the Dutch.
I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to the Dutch, because this Austria team don't scare me at all.
Thomas, hit me with the Patreon stuff, and then I'll round it out.
Yes, so thank you to everyone that supports us on Patreon, specifically PJ Simpson, Matthew Bowden, Robert Allen, and Christina Allen. Your support means the world to us. Please, if you enjoyed the channel, pop over to Patreon. I'm sure the details are on the screen. They're definitely down below, but please support us. We also have a special Euro 2020 setting, so that would be great. Also, even if you don't want Patreon, smash subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, even if it's negative things, and let us know what you think.
Absolutely right. So that is our predictions for the second round of matches for groups A, B, and C. We'll be back with our predictions for D, E, and F very shortly, as well as our review. There we go. That's the word for England versus Scotland. But you can check out the review for England versus Croatia. That is already on the channel, and all our predictions for match day one already on the channel as well. So go check all that out. Thanks for supporting us, and we will see you very soon.